single day, I'm gonna make something great. That's my way. Every single day, I'm gonna make something great. That's my way.
The level of my training and the level of my training. So I would be.
Hey guys, I want to welcome you to the very first edition of The Talk with Nnamdi Okoye. This is my chance to talk to people from a variety of backgrounds, whether they're athletes, musicians, people in film and television, or even different professionals. It's for most people might know me from hosting Halftime Chat, which focuses on talking to those within the music industry. But this is an opportunity for me to really hear from people who are from different careers and backgrounds. And so I'm really excited about my first guest who I'm going to see today, and her name is Myla Hill. She is the daughter of Grant Hill and Tamia. Grant Hill used to play professional basketball in the NBA, and Tamia is an R&B singer. So it's going to be great talking to her. Her career, she is a professional MMA she's an amateur MMA athlete, and so a mixed martial arts. So it's going to be great to understand what that is and how she got into it, and just her careers for the future. So I'm about to bring her in. So good luck. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Yeah, what I'm excited about is that you are my first guest on my channel.
Awesome.
Because some people might because I do host a podcast called Halftime Chats, which focus mainly on R&B. So people like your mum and stuff who there. So probably interviewed 100 people, but this is why I'm excited about this, is just being able to branch out and just talk to people from industries that I'm not familiar with and just hear their stories.
Awesome.
Yes. So I did introduce you in my sort of intro, but I'm gonna try and guess now. Myla?
Myla, that's perfect.
Myla.
Yep.
Okay, Myla. So my name's Nnamdi. So I always start off, I do have an international audience, so it'd be great just to get a picture as to where you were born and raised.
So I was born in Orlando, Florida, so in the United States. Born and raised in Orlando, Florida. So
Okay.
right by Disney World.
Most of us, especially out here in Europe, would think Orlando, that's where Epcot Center and Disney and
Exactly.
stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Was that a sort of weekend trip every weekend going down to Disneyland and stuff?
I think when I was younger, I still live here, and I haven't been to Disney in years. So
Okay.
I think I'm Disneyed and Universal out. But
Okay. So yeah, as I said, I'm a therapist. When I'm not doing this, I'm a mental health therapist. So I'm always curious about people, their lives, their choices, how they get to where they are. So it's always good just getting your background. So what was life like growing up as a kid?
life was definitely interesting. My dad was a professional basketball player, and he played um, since before I was born until my early mid teenage years. So he was playing professional basketball. My mom obviously is a rhythm and blues singer. So growing up, it was definitely non-traditional, but it was awesome. I mean, my parents and my younger sister are all amazing, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people wonder how I got into fighting, because I had an amazing upbringing, an amazing childhood, and they look at that and they look at what I do now, and they're like, well, what went wrong?
Well, and I think it's not about what went wrong, and I think what is always fascinating is about the ability to pick up a career and get the support of the family. So and so that's where it would lead to. What was it like though having because I went to college in the States and then was out there for about 10 years in LA and the Midwest. And so I'm familiar with your dad who when he came out of, I think he was at North Carolina, so it was a big hoopla that, oh, he's the new Jordan and stuff. So um but then what was it like as a kid um of both parents being famous? What was it like for you as a child? I mean, is it? I mean, sure, when you're 5, it's different. You're excited, but when you get older, there's, what was it like?
You know, I people ask me that all the time, and it's like it's all I know. Um,
Mm,
and my dad, so my grandfather, my dad's dad, was a professional football player, so
wow.
it's all he knew. So it's
Okay.
kind of like, I mean, it's a blessing. A lot of people are like, aren't you jealous of your parents? No, I think
Yes.
they've definitely like highlighted and shown me a lot of things that wouldn't have been shown to me on how to carry myself and how to succeed and how to strive for that next level of greatness. And growing up under them, which I wouldn't have got had I not had them in my life. So
Yeah. And but what about with friends? Is there is there a challenge to filter the kinds of friends who want to be your friend because you've got famous parents, or is that a hard thing to navigate?
when I was younger, I think a lot of people, well, not when I was younger, because when you're in like kindergarten, you just want to be friends with everybody. And,
Yeah.
and I still am friends with basically everybody I was friends with in kindergarten.
Wow.
But obviously, you know, you can kind of tell when people are just kind of interested in in that aspect of my life. And as I've gotten older, I've definitely been able to um, kind of spot that.
Mm,
But I've never let it be, like define me, if that makes sense. Like my parents are who my parents are, and it's great, and they definitely helped make me who I am today. But you know, I'm my own person,
yeah.
and I do my own things, and I bring a lot to the table. And I think a lot of people, as I've grown up, have seen that. And so I have more instances of people wanting to be my friend versus them wanting to be my friend just because of my parents, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, I know in America you guys go to college, university. Did you finish high school and go to college, or what was your path after high school?
So the promise that I made to my parents, if they were going to let me do this fighting stuff professionally, is I would go to college and I would graduate. So I'm actually in college now. I go
Okay.
to I'm actually in my dorm room now.
Okay, okay.
I go to a small liberal arts college in Orlando, Florida, and right outside of Orlando, Florida. Our most famous alumni is Mr. Rogers. So
Yeah, just the
when I
neighborhood.
say that, yes, exactly. Everybody knows who he is.
Yeah.
So, but I go
Okay.
to a small liberal arts college. I'm a business management major, and it's great.
Okay. So now I guess if we wind back then, when you were in sort of high school, a lot of people think, okay, I want to sing. You had the choice of, oh, emulating mom being a singer, emulating dad and playing basketball, because there's avenues there. What was your idea as to what you might want to do when you grow up?
Well, I can't sing, so I I can't sing. I wish I could, but I can't sing, and I definitely can't sing like my mom. Um, and I think a lot of people think that I'm bigger than I am. I'm actually really short. I don't know the metrics
So
in
you can use
England.
feet. So you can see how many are you at?
I'm 5'5".
Okay, that's
So
not well, not basketball, not
not
basketball. So
basketball
yeah,
at all.
okay, yeah.
But I played basketball in high school. I started really actually kind of late playing basketball. I think a lot of people think that I would have played basketball my whole life.
Mm.
But growing early in my life, I wanted absolutely nothing to do with
Yeah,
basketball.
wow.
Because I it's my dad's thing, and to this day I'm not. I understand it, and I tell people I've seen enough basketball for a lifetime, but it's just, it was never like something that I could sit and watch for hours. My dad can sit and watch basketball for hours. And I
Goodness.
used to be like, how do you do this? But now with my thing, I'm like, I totally get it. I totally get
Yeah.
it.
Wow. So if there was no singing and no basketball, what was your passion growing up then?
Oh, I was like the type of kid who would do anything. I was playing soccer and softball and was in band class, and I think I did choir for like a year. I wasn't very good at singing, but I think I just did it. So I did like some like MC stuff. So I was just involved in doing everything and just hoping to find something that sticks, and I found something that sticks. So
Now, was there pressure to have a forge an identity for yourself? Because I guess that's something that majority of us who don't have um successful parents in different fields might not feel that pressure because I could do anything and there's no like, oh, you're not going to be. If my dad was a doctor, my mom's a doctor, then there's an expectation that I have to be a doctor. For yourself, was there that pressure from everyone saying, look, man, your dad's Grant Hill, your mom's Tamia, you come on, you either sing or you hit the threes.
exactly, and it ties back to the point of I can't sing, so that one was off the off the off the drawing board. And I played basketball, and honestly, I wasn't very good. So I think people kind of were like, okay, she's definitely not a singer and she's definitely not a basketball player. So I think I was kind of pushed into, I wasn't good at the two things offered on the table. So
Wow.
I was like, okay, I got to do my own thing. And
But
but never
how's
forced from my parents never were like, you have to be a singer, you have to
yeah.
be an athlete, you have to. My dad actually never wanted me to play basketball ever,
Hmm,
because his dad didn't let him play professional, or didn't let him play football at all. So
okay.
but
But what was that? What was it like though? Because I work with under 19s teenagers who struggle with different forms of mental health, and it's always interesting just to know what was it a challenge for you? Okay, I can't sing, I'm not really good at basketball. At self-esteem wise, having a sense of
I can't say it was never not challenging, because I definitely, looking back on it, it was tough. I think sometimes people make quick judgments on who you are without getting to know you. And I think when I was younger, those fast reactions and fast judgments of people not made me feel upset, but just kind of confused me, because as you got to know me, you got to know that those things were definitely not my thing. But I think people just automatically assumed one thing. And I don't, it definitely it was definitely, I don't know how to put it to words. Um, it was tough. And then I was like, you know what? There's something on this planet that's for me. And I found it.
but how did you get there? Because you know teenagers now deal with a lot of pressures on social media about image and self-esteem and stuff. They don't have the pressures of following the footsteps of famous parents, but they still have those types of pressures around. Does it help having and I don't want to put it in words because I could say this and then you say yes, but what made it for you to navigate the same kind of pressures that a lot of teenage kids face now? There's maybe, as I mentioned, self-esteem, image, and looks, but you face something similar regarding following the footsteps of famous parents?
Well, in regards of the self-esteem and self-image and that type of thing, I think my parents did a really good job when I was younger of kind of showing the importance of finding love in yourself and finding love in a God. So that social media of and the new thing, seeing people on magazines, I should look this type of way, I should act this type of way. I was kind of pumped up with love and shown how to love myself. And so I never really had that, I need to look this way, I need to act this way from the inside. Now people definitely try to get into my ear and say, blah, 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 and things like that. But I just knew I had good role models. I had my dad and I had my mom, and I saw how they reacted to pressures like that. And I was like, if they can do it, I can do it. And then in terms of feeling the pressure of following into my parents' footsteps, yeah, I mean, it was there, but it was never like inside the family. Like it was external, but nobody in my family ever pressured me to do anything that I didn't want to do. And my family supported me and continued to support me in all my different endeavors. And so I think that made me kind of not invincible, but not put as much thought into what other people wanted for my own life. So I think I had a good people around me, good self-talk, positive self-talk always, and to just do what I want to do, and whatever anybody else has to say, forget it, because it's my life,
And I'm really glad that you said this, because a challenge as a therapist working with teenagers, where I see a lot of the big issues are the identity that they receive at home, and those who have a very strong family unit and they give them a lot of identity, it's a lot easier treating them because they can connect to certain things. The ones who struggle is where there's not a real strong connection at home, so then they're seeking it outside. And when you're seeking it outside, you just go from place to place, and you don't really have a sense of what self-worth. So that's, myself, I wanted to say, did you have a strong family unit? But I wanted to be able to hear from you instead of putting it out in there. Okay. So how then did you then go from playing soccer, here in Europe we call it football, I guess around the world, but how did you go from there to Miss Martial Arts? Or did you wait to high school finish then you picked, or did you do wrestling when you were in school, or what happened?
So it's a really funny story. But
Okay.
when I was like 8 or 9 years old, there was this TV show on a network called Spike TV. I don't even think it's a network anymore. And it was called Bully Beatdown.
Okay.
And it was a show, it's a crazy show. They would have contestants and they would bring in the people who were bullying the contestants, and they would bring in professional mixed martial arts fighters to beat up the people's bullies.
Wow.
And
Why would a
I
bully
never
agree to come on this show?
I never got bullied, so I don't know why. It was never I never felt like this is justice. But growing up early in my life, right, I think fighting is like just boxing. And I'm seeing these, and I think fighting, the best fighters, right, are the big muscle guys. So I'm seeing these bullies who are, bodybuilders and look tough and are super mean guys. And I'm seeing them get beat up by people who look like me, and or people who are like these not scrawny, but visually you would think that the bully, this mean guy who's fighting with all this anger, you would think that he would win. And then I'm also seeing like there's more to fighting than just punching. they're wrestling and they're doing all this stuff, and I'm 8 years old. Like, what is going on?
As an
So
8-year-old. Wow.
as an 8-year-old, and I don't know if I was supposed to be watching
Yeah,
that
that's what I was
show.
gonna say. Yeah.
Like
Bad mom and dad.
looking back on exactly looking back on it, but no, but at the time, women weren't obviously the big MMA promotion is the UFC, and
Mm.
women weren't in the UFC yet. So I think as an 8-year-old, I took it as this isn't a woman's thing yet.
Mm-mm.
So I kind of put that dream on a shelf and kind of was like, okay, if it ever does become a woman thing, like I would totally want to do it,
Wow.
but I don't want to, like women weren't at the top of the top, and obviously you want to be at the top of the top and whatever you do. So fast forward, junior year of high school, my third year of high school. I don't think you guys. My mom's from Canada, so I know
Okay.
they don't call. I know they
Yeah,
don't call it
secondary
junior
school.
year.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't. It's my third year. So going into my fourth year, my last year of high school, obviously Ronda Rousey exploded and became women's mixed martial arts and put everything on the map. I was like, you know what? I quit basketball. I was like, I want to do this. And at first my parents were like, are you crazy? Like I've never been in a street fight, never done. I was never a violent kid, never had any, didn't fit into any of those stereotypes at all. And I'm telling my mom on a random Tuesday that, hey, I think I want to be a mixed martial arts fighter. I think I want to fight another girl in a cage. And so she's like, well, okay, I'll
What?
find a gym. Exactly. And it just all fell from there.
No, but then, okay. So what was the? I mean, I grew up loving WWF. Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior. And it was always fun. But from a distance, it was good watching and being entertained. But to think of like, wow, I wouldn't mind doing this. There's a sort of disparity between enjoying something and then actually thinking about
Yeah.
being in a violent sport. I don't know how you actually, because people growing up do judo, boxing, taekwondo, so at least you get a feel for it. Mixed martial arts, I don't know. You do little trainings. Did you ever do any of that? Judo, taekwondo, boxing?
So a lot of my friends growing up did taekwondo and stuff, and I would like do like one class, and I was like, this is like, so like a wrestler. I'm a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, so that's my background, which is like kind of similar to judo and wrestling and a lot of chokes and stuff like that. So I was like, what are these karate stuff? I always thought it was weird, so I would not do the taekwondo classes, but looking back on it, I wish I did, but no, I never did any martial arts, never competed in any martial arts. It was a tradition, like did traditional ball sports, and that's it.
Wow. So, you propose this thing to your parents that you want to start to do mixed martial arts, not wrestling, not boxing, and
So I wanted to do judo because Ronda Rousey did judo and she was beating up everybody. But there were no judo gyms in where I'm from. The only thing that was in proximity to where I was from was a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu gym, which is like, I don't know if you've seen the first UFC, but the guy Hoist Gracie, my coach is actually his first black belt. So it worked out perfectly. But I went there and I remember I met the guy, my head coach now, John, for the first time. And I went up to right up to him as a confident 17-year-old and said, I want to fight. And he was like, pump your brakes. You got to learn how to fight and grapple and do stuff first. And I was like, okay, teach me everything you know. And it's been, when he thought I was ready, he sent me out there, and it's been like that ever since.
wow, yeah. It's really strange. Just the because there's a fear of being hit. There is but there's also the stigma about, I don't know, within the black community, do how many black girls fight, Then there is the also what does that the image of the family. So how did you manage to deal with all of that?
Well, I think once I dived into the martial arts community, especially the mixed martial arts community, you get to see that this is a sport with all different types of people and all different types of characters, and people who grew up one way, people who grew up another way. And I think the biggest stigma that broke in my parents' head is you don't have to be like a kid from wherever who has no other opportunities to do this. You can
Mm,
be, I mean, there's people in the UFC who have their master's degrees. So
wow.
it's I don't know why they always pump and promote the one angle that they do.
Mm.
I guess everybody likes a success story, and I understand that. But there's people from all different walks of life, and it's crazy to see how this one sport connects all of us, connects people who would never ever intermingle with each other.
So when you did get into when you did think about it, was there no fear about getting hit and getting hurt and things? Because I've seen pictures of some of the because I don't know many of the artists, the fighters apart from Colin McGregor, is he?
Conor McGregor, yeah.
Yeah, he's Irish, but you know we're
Yeah.
here in British and then I think we have some Nigerians, Usman.
Yes.
Yeah,
Come on. Yes.
yeah, some Niger. My background is Nigerian, so so
Oh, awesome.
those, so yeah, so I know most of those ones. But then I and I yeah, and so but they seem to it seems to be brutal. Those who are fighting. So you do wonder, did was that aside, no worries or fears about getting injuries, facial bruises and things.
Honestly, I think I was so stubborn and so naive when I started that I didn't even think about that part. I was almost like, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it. And I was like, getting punched in the face and kicked in the face, it's part of it. And just be better enough to not get punched in the face too bad. That's my, but I
Okay.
never had like my coach now, he says, never take fighting personally and never fight from a bad place, never fight from a place of anger. And I think that that's helped me get over the fact that this is a job, and I don't hate anybody I fight. They might hate me, but that's their problem. And so I don't take it personally when they hit me. It's just what they have to do to not have me hit them. So that's how I look at it.
Now, so for those of us who might not be too familiar with mixed martial arts, um, I think the UFC with is it Dana White?
Dana White,
So
yes.
that seems to be the more popular one that we all know about. But I've heard that there are two other different groups, and then I see yourself promoting yourself as an amateur MMA. So can you just break down then for us who are novice about the profession, the different groups, and how you move from where you are to the top one?
So I would say there's the UFC, which everybody pretty much knows.
Yeah.
There's Bellator, One Fighting Championship, which is based in Singapore. There's the PFL, and but those are kind of the major ones that you look at and you think, okay, these are the major leagues. And
Okay.
then they have their feeder leagues, which is like the leagues that people kind of go on to get to that level, and that's still professional. And that's like, so like in America we have like AAA baseball,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
like minor league base, but still professional and still high level. And then you have like the regional promotions, the regional circuits. And then so in order to get to where like get to the high level where I'm at, or get to the high level where I want to be, is depending on where you live. So I live in Florida. You have to do a set number of amateur fights before you can even go professional. So I have done two amateur fights. I'm 2-0, and I have to do 3 more before I go professional. And that's just the way it is in my state. Some states you don't even have to do amateur. Some states I think you have to do more amateur. And then I would just go on from there and go keep going forward. But I'm super young for the sport. I think I was the youngest fighter on the card that I just fought in. I'm only 20, so
Okay.
I got a long, I got a lot of time ahead of me. So
Wow. And so, what is the ultimate aim? Because especially for the female side, what's the ultimate aim? Where would you know that you've reached the golden the top brass? What league and is it the UFC or is it with any of the other ones?
I would be blessed to go wherever I'm wanted. Um, and I think obviously, you want to be the best and you want to be on top of that mountain. I always say that MMA is a mountain, and there are a lot of people trekking up the mountain, but there's only so many people who can be at the top. And so I obviously want to get to the top of the mountain. But I think as I've grown up and gotten older, I think if if somebody can look at me and see me doing this and get some sort of inspiration or be motivated or just have the thought of if she can do it, I can do it, then I think to me that's true success. If I can be a positive light for somebody, I think to me that's success. So obviously getting to the top and getting to the premier promotion and being, I think my best eventually could be the best, but also helping people and being positive for people.
And so, as this thing, I think I've seen that you. So, how are your parents supportive of the fact that you are actually fought 2 fights? I mean, are they showing up at the fights or are they just?
Yeah, they're there. They're in the building. They're not sitting up close, but
Yeah.
they're in the building. It's funny at first, my mom, obviously I'm the firstborn child.
Hmm.
And so my mom, you never want to see your child uh get fight in a cage. So we took her and my dad to watch a professional UFC event uh, live in Las Vegas. And I think it really helped calm her nerves because she realized it's not as barbaric as you would like. It's very technical and tactical, and you have to, I call it physical chess. So um, there's a lot of strategy to it. And I think she saw that when she saw it live. And I think that helped her. But at first she was like, oh, not my baby. Obviously she supported me, but she was like, are you sure? Like, I can get you some voice lessons. And
Wow, goodness. Um, you mentioned the angle that is always told about rags to riches, and I remember an episode of The Fresh Prince. I mean, this is way before a long time ago, where it seems as if Will was playing against Chris Pine, who was going to another school, and he sort of like, I'm already sort of settled where I'm at, so I'm going to sort of give you the chance to shine because you need the sports scholarship more than I did, and the guys, and that seems to be that sort of narrative that okay, this was your way out. So most people seem to be this was their way out, and I wonder if they do take a narrative of, but then if you start getting fast, if you grew good, but you get to the top league, is there a point that people might think, oh, because she has famous parents, they just want to use that as a marketing ploy, so they've just sort of fast tracked her through? Is there a worry about that?
I think if I played basketball or I played a team sport, the thing I love about fighting is there's no hiding.
Hmm.
It is 100% you. There's nothing. If I win a fight, I win a fight because I won the fight. There's no, well, she only won this fight because her dad is this person. It's no, you got to prove yourself 100% of the time. My last fight, and I always want to fight people. I want to fight the best people I possibly can fight. So my last fight, I went up 22 weight classes. So I went up 20 pounds, and she
Did you
was
have to
seven
add the
inches.
weight, or you?
No, I
Okay.
just didn't lose the weight, but I was under weight limit by 3 pounds or 4 pounds. So I was underweight, and she was 7 inches taller. But because I want to fight people
She was
who
over
are the
six.
best.
She was up to 6, 7 inches, not
Six
7.
foot, six
What?
foot. I know, and so I never want to take the easy route. And my first fight, I fought somebody who was um, undefeated, and I beat her. So I want to. When I get to the top, it's because I get up to the top and I put in the work, and I fought whoever wanted to fight me. Um, so I think that's the good part about fighting too, is it's all you, win or lose, it's all you.
Wow. How's your sister? Your younger sister. What's her thoughts about big sister? Uh,
Yeah, she's a football player, soccer player.
okay. Okay.
So she plays like the traditional sport, and she's like, I would never do that ever. She's a fantastic soccer player and um, things like that, and she wants to play professional soccer as well. And I really think she could do it.
No,
Um,
but how does she look up to his big sister? Or is she afraid to say anything wrong, knowing that you could just grab her with one hand?
no, no, I'd like to think she looks up to me, I think if it's one thing I hope my sister looks up to me for is I hope she sees that if you work hard at anything, like you can get to what you want. If you have passion and you have perseverance, you can. I mean, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, if people looked at me and I told them I was a fighter, they probably would have laughed. But now it's like I put in the work and I'm passionate about this and I love it. And I got to where I am because of that. So I think she looks at that. I think she's seen the hard work that I've put in, and I think she's, even though she'll never admit this, I think she's I think she's applied it to what she does on the soccer field.
Yeah. Well, as my first guest, I'm really happy that I've gone to hear your story. And I think one of you talk about being a light. I think that many things I've picked up from hearing your story. The importance of having supportive family, getting a sense of identity, self-worth, and self-value from home, because then that in itself will have its way of protecting you and shielding you from the negative setbacks that you may get outside. But also the self-belief in your ability as well. Because a lot of us, if we have the foundation at home, it then gives us that strength to say we can achieve anything. And so, definitely appreciate and wish you luck with that. I mean, I guess one of the things I just do want to be able to say is that what would be a sort of a message to any young person who is, struggling with a sense of identity, self-esteem, and they've got pressures, but like yourself, they need to find a way to navigate, to find out who they are, and not try and live up to the pressures of who other people think they are.
Ooh, I'd say, whew, to to try whatever you want to try. And I know it's easier said than done to not be afraid of what people think. But if you want to do, if I wanted to be a professional skydiver and I truly thought I wanted to do that, then you know what? It's going to be tough to say, like, don't care what people say. But I guess just first starting out with positive talk, positive self-talk. And I never let myself, I have eliminated the word can't in my vocabulary. I don't say the word can't, because you can always do something. You can always better your best. You can always, always, always blah, blah, blah. So I think starting, if I had no if I was the opposite of what I am now, I think eliminating negative words just in my vocabulary, just to start, would help me in that first part. I also think too, like just adjusting the way you think about yourself and adjusting the way you think about the world. Thinking, oh, I have to do this, changing that thought to I get to do this, and just Mike Tyson has a good quote, train the hard stuff like you love it. And so going through life, the hard tribulations and the trials, and reversing your thinking, and I get to go through this. I love this. This will only make me stronger. This will only grow my passion. And so I think changing the way we think and changing our vocabulary is the first step. But I also think trying stuff that you want to try, and taking that leap of faith is always important, because you never know. If I would have never thought I would have been fighting 8 years, I would have never thought, but I took a leap of faith, and once I said I wanted to do it, I did it with everything I had. I put my all into it. I skipped birthdays, celebrations, parties. I've never drank. I've never smoked. I've never done anything of that nature. I pushed all that aside, and I followed this dream. And so I would say, if you don't have that self-worth and you want to try something, I'd say find something that you love and just do it.
Mm. Yes, wow. Really, really powerful. Thanks for that. So I always want to be able to ask my guests, because you're going to be the first one. So when I'm doing my halftime chat, I always ask my guests what's their favorite movie, what's their favorite song. But because this isn't really a music channel, who's the most inspirational person that you can think of?
Oh, it's a tie between my mom and my dad.
Okay. Outside of your
My
parents,
dad.
outside of your
Outside of
parents,
my,
so they will.
oh
Yeah,
man.
it's like an artist saying picking one of their favorite songs, no, as theirs. So, yeah. So,
Outside of my parents.
and it could be someone from the past, because quotes, people that you think, wow, they. Because as an athlete, most athletes tend to have inspirational figures that, yeah.
I think, I mean, I gotta say Muhammad Ali, just as an athlete, and how he was so passionate and outspoken for everything that he believed in, and how he backed it up in the ring. And obviously the life that he led is inspiring, and definitely, I mean, he's the greatest fighter of all time, undisputed. So
Okay,
it
Muhammad
speaks for
Ali.
itself.
I guess, what would be your favorite movie? Because it'd be fun just to see, of all the movies, if you when your go-to movie.
So I actually get teased about this in my gym, because in my lifetime, I think I've only ever watched 10 movies.
Okay.
I've never seen all the popular movies. I've never seen Star Wars. I've never seen Harry Potter. So the last movie I saw was the new Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland, and I thought that one was pretty good. But when it comes to movies, I don't know if I just don't have the attention span. I'm not. I don't know, but I'd probably say Spider-Man.
Okay. Do you have a favorite TV series, past or present, if you don't have a movie?
Oh, I like the TV show South Park. It's kind of like,
Okay.
I think it's just a quick laugh, and
Okay.
they make fun of everybody. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
good.
And then I get the final one is, then what's your sort of favorite song?
Oh, favorite song. So my favorite song is the song I used to walk out to. It's called "Born for This" by The Score. And like I said before, I'm big onto positive self-talk and eliminating can't from my vocabulary. And so the reason why I walked out to that song, the reason why I love it so much, is because the lyrics, he talks about how he was born for this, and despite all of everything he's went through and things like that, he was ready for this moment. So I really like the song. Whenever I hear it, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm ready to fight. Like I was born for this. So that's probably my favorite song.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna listen to it. I haven't heard it, but I'm gonna listen to
Yeah.
that.
It's
So
it's like a it's like a it's like a rock song, like a
is
I
it
don't
like
know,
an
an
Eye of the
alternative
Tiger type of
song.
song,
Yeah,
right?
a little bit. Like some of my friends are like, this is kind of corny. I'm like, it's pretty. I like it. It's pumping me up a little bit.
When is your next fight then?
So I actually had 5 fights canceled this year.
Oh,
So I'm like, I'm taking a little bit of a break. So I'm scheduled to fight again in January or February, either in Florida or in New York, or I think New Orleans was an option, but probably January or February. So I
okay.
have a little bit of time, but
Okay. Well, you know, when you do go pro, hopefully you still grace us with a chance to get a catch up to see
of
how
course,
how how your journey was, and I'd appreciate your time. I know that I as I said, for me, it's really fascinating hearing your story, and I do wish that people are inspired by hearing what you've had to say and stuff. And I hopefully you didn't mind the time that we spent
no,
today.
I loved it. I loved it.
Yes. Well, I will. Yeah. So this is this. I'll hopefully I'll be able to edit it and get it live and stuff and then
Awesome.
I'll tag you up on Instagram and stuff. But yeah,
Yes.
but I've just really enjoyed this, and especially for my first, even though I've interviewed over 100 people, but for my first time on this sort of new sort of platform, it's been exciting to hear from you and your story and stuff.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I
Yes,
really
yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I definitely wish you luck in school and with your fights. And as I said, I'll make sure people keep following you up on Instagram so they can just keep an update on what you've been up to.
Awesome. Thank you so, so much.
You're welcome. All right. Have a good one then.
You as well. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Every single day